Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. This time we are going to be testing some stuff with the new anniversary pack. And in this deck, there's only one new anniversary card, which is really cool, really neat. If you guys have followed the channel for a long amount of time, I'm a fan of the Demigod deck, the mono black deck. I think, resolving double dark plot turn 4 is pretty busted. That is a potential combo in this deck, but it's not necessarily the main focus of the deck. The main focus of the deck is kind of hand destruction and hand rip using the Demigod 4-drop. But yeah, this is a super cool deck that is actually now playable with the Demigod from the anniversary box. But we'll get through all those cards once we get through the deck profile. So this is more like a proof of concept rather than like a finalized deck. It's not like the best version of the deck it could be, but it's something I started testing recently, and I think it's like a cool idea to get out to the community, just a way to use this Demigod 2-drop, especially because I know there's a lot of Demigod fans out there. You could play the Demigod leader for this deck. That could be, more thematic, and it could also be pretty good. But there's a few reasons I play Mira, and I'm going to go over what the Mira leader does in just a second. But there is potential for the Demigod leader to be really good for this. So what the Mira leader does is activate main once per turn, choose one card in your life, add it to your hand. This card gains plus 5k power for duration of the turn, and then I place 3 cards from top of my deck in the drop area. So the reason I value this leader over something like a Demigod leader is because it allows me to overwhelm turn 1 if I'm on the play and I'm not on the draw, right? So I do value that ability pretty highly. I want to be able to play my Poutines on turn 1 to get my Demigod play started. But it may turn out to be that Demigod is the better leader because I do find that sometimes I'm self-awakening and I'm taking damage too quickly when I want to slow the game down a little bit. So Demigod might be better, but I do value that turn 1 overwhelm. So it's something I'm going to toy with in the future. Definitely give this deck a shot with the Demigod leader. But real quick, we're going to go over what the Mira's Awaken effect does. Mira, 1 with darkness. So auto, when this card attacks, draw 1 card and activate main once per turn. Choose 3 cards in your warp, place them in the drop area. This card gains plus 5,000 for duration of the turn. So I love how most of these leaders, like when they're awakened, they don't keep milling the deck. They actually just take cards from the warp, put them back in the drop area. So it means like against like the mill strategy against Janemba, you don't have to like keep milling your deck. A lot of people will say like, oh well, burst leaders and mill leaders, like it's really hard to play them because of Janemba, and that is true. But this deck is like pretty specifically designed to wreck Janemba because you just drop ginormous beaters and you rip your opponent's hand. This deck does absolutely wreck Janemba. So that's the idea behind it. So again, to the main deck. We've got 6 cantrips. We have Time Control, Cronoa, and Kami Global Unifier. If the format shapes up to be pretty aggressive, which I don't necessarily think it will, but if it did, you could main deck the new Supreme Kai of Time from the Anniversary Box. That would actually add another Anniversary Box card to this deck. But I think Cronoa is fine, and I think Kami is the best cantrip to play because Skillus is going to be very good. I think Veggies are going to make a kind of a resurgence into the metagame. So I do value that board wipe, and it's just a 1-drop cantrip because on the turns that we awaken, we want to be able to make sure we use that energy, because when we do dark plot on turn 4, that's only going to have 1 energy tapped for us, and then when we awaken, we want to get the most value out of it. So I want to play a Kami next to that dark plot if I'm not going to resolve 2 dark plots that turn. So yeah, and Cronoa is the other 2 spot because I don't think the Spirit Bomb Goku is really worth it. I think Cronoa is just a better utility card, just in case you come across something Shugesh like. It could be Dark Power Black Man Sand, but I don't think it's super necessary. I'd rather have cards that replace themselves because this deck doesn't get a huge hand itself, so I'd rather play cards that do replace themselves. Power Burst, excellent card. Time Judgment I don't think is ever going to be good, unfortunately, just because we do have Power Burst for the Black Negate, and Time Judgment is just too much of a neg to warrant playing, so Power Burst is really good. You're not always going to have the drop area for it because you are overwhelming quite a bit, but the card's been excellent, and with the 6 cantrips in the deck, it's always going to be basically a plus for you. And then we have the Supreme Kai of Time, World's Protector. So a lot of people probably haven't seen the super combo in quite a bit. This super combo actually works with any leader, does not matter what color your leader is, but it is active when you have 5 or more cards in your warp. So this is super easy to turn on as soon as turn 2. So you could play this, you could play Roshi. If you play the Demigod leader, definitely play the Supreme Kai Time World's Protector because this super combo will be live much faster. But in this leader, we do awaken usually by turn 3, sometimes turn 2 if we're getting aggroed. So either one works fine, but Supreme Kai Time is really good. Then we have 4 Frigid Blast Poutines. So this card I think is really important if you're playing the Mira leader. I think it's really important in the engine in general because it basically fixes your hand. It searches any of your 3 different demigods, and again, that's why I value playing this leader, because it does allow us to do a Poutine turn 1 by milling 3. The Demigod leader does not allow us to do that if we go first, because we don't get to attack in mill 3, right? We just get to do that if we go second. So I do value that ability for Poutine. It does allow me to kind of get my Demigod line fixed up, but it may turn out to be Demigod's better to slow the game down because this is a hand control grindy deck. We do want to slow the game down, so maybe going to Demigod is better and just playing the deck basically a turn behind. That might be the way to do it. But again, I'm going to keep testing it. I do like the Mirror Leader for now. So Here we come with the new anniversary Demigras. So Demigras Overwhelm Unleashed. So this guy basically embodies all Overwhelm is supposed to be, right? So he's an Overwhelm 3 for 2 energy. So it basically is going to be your turn 2 play. You cannot do this turn 1, which I think is perfectly fine and balanced. I think dropping the 4-drop Demigras turn 1 would be a little too OP. So yeah, so Demigras Overwhelm Unleashed. Auto, when you play this card, choose 1. It's kind of funny how Sharon's there is a question mark right there, but it's a short little typo. So this card gains Wormhole for the duration of the turn. That effect never really comes up unless we're like awakened and it's really late game. Really, we're only going to be using its second effect. Choose 1 Demigras with energy cost 4 or less in your warp. Play it on top of this card. So our number 1 target for that is going to come up in just a minute. But we've got Trunks Power Overseeing Time, as well as Desperate Onslaught Bardock, just general good overwhelms. But there are Dark Plot targets. I do really think Dark Plot is a really, really strong card. A 1 energy turn 4 double strike or a 1 energy turn 4 Bardock crit that sticks around, I think is super powerful. So I do play 2 Dark Plot. Back in my old Demigras list, Dark Plot was more the focus of the deck. So sometimes I'll play 3 or 4 copies because we want to do double Dark Plot on turn 4. But in this build, our focus is a little bit shifted towards turns 2 and 3, so I'm only playing 2 Dark Plot for that reason. Plus, I don't want to run too many uncomboable cards when I'm tapped out, meaning Dark Plot and all the 10k combos. So a little bit of explanation for you guys, a little bit of deck building tips. Now we come up to the superstar of the deck, Dark Control Demon God Demigras. So this guy is the main guy you want to be playing on turn 2 with your Demigras Overwhelm Unleashed. So what he does is another older card you guys might not have seen in a while. He's actually a set 4 card. So he is a Dark Overwhelm 4 for 3 energy, which actually does come up a lot if you're turn 3 play. If you don't have your other turn 3 play set up, he does come up a lot. When this card attacks, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and sends it to their warp. So that's your hand destruction right there. If that card is a battle card, combo with it in your combo area. So you are able to get this Demigras pretty big. So typically, unless they're giving you like a negate or a dead extra card, you're going to be getting a 5k combo from your opponent. And if they're really low on cards, you're going to get like things like super combos or unbreakables, which could be incredibly plus for you, obviously. But normally you're going to get like a 5k combo. So he can actually threaten like pretty big battle cards. Like swinging the Demigras to 25k battle card that your opponent has is actually usually going to go through for damage or go through to kill the battle card because they're going to give you a 5k a lot of the time. So really, really good card. And this is we want to do this on turn 2. And we want to do this on turn 3. If we are able to do on turn 2 with the Overwhelm Unleashed Demigras, it's super solid. And if on turn 3 we can Dark Overwhelm itself out. But the other way we want to do this is typically by dropping the Encroaching Darkness Demigras Power Booster combo. So this guy, you might not have seen him in a little while. Overwhelm 4, permanent, all Demigras cards in your hand with energy cost 7, gain Xeno Evolve 3. So it allows us to play Temporal Darkness Demigras on turn 3, which I'll get to in a second. When you play this card, you cannot play non-black battle cards for duration of the turn, which is no problem. We're not really going to be hard casting Champa, so that restriction is basically not a restriction in this deck. And your opponent can't attack a battle card with energy cost with an original power of 10k or less until the end of their next turn. So a little bit of anti-aggro hate, which is pretty cool. And we're going to go into the Temporal Darkness Demigras with that. This is the ideal turn 3 play. Dark Overwhelm 7 for energy if that is necessary, but usually we're playing on turn 3. Auto, when you play this card, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards, send it to their warp, then choose 1 battle card from your warp with energy cost 4 or less, and play it. So that's the main combo of the deck. So you have basically your turn 3 spot removal, which is really important in the format right now. I think of decks like Skillets that just have 30k beaters you want to warp. I think of like Veggies where you want to get rid of some of their beaters, and we do have other cards for Veggies in the deck like Kami. Other big creatures, you have like the Baby Ape. So really important stuff you want to be removing with Temporal Darkness Demigras, and then you are usually going to want to be able to get the Dark Control Demon God Demigras with your Temporal Darkness so you can keep ripping the hand. So the ideal play is turn 2, Demigras Overwhelm Unleashed, get Dark Control Demon on the board. Most decks can't answer that turn 2, turn 3. It's too big of a battle card for them to answer on turn 2 and turn 3. So on your turn 3, you want to go into the Encroaching Darkness Demigras, and then you want to Xeno Evolve into the Temporal Darkness Demigras to get rid of one of your opponent's battle cards, and then bring back another Dark Control Demon God from your warp. If you don't have Demon God in your warp, that's fine. The Temporal Darkness Demigras can also grab the Trunks Overseeing Time or the Desperate Onslaught Bardock, which is really solid. Or worst case scenario, you can just Dark Overwhelm Dark Control Demon God on turn 3, because almost every card in the deck is black except for 2 Champas, and I haven't played a game yet where I've milled Champa that early, so Dark Overwhelm is almost always going to be live. Next up, for a few utility cards, we have Dimensional Banisher Fu, and we have Mass Sand. Once, like again, you're kind of splitting these Overwhelm slots for the different matchups. So Banisher Fu is really good against Green Broly. It's really good against Vegeta Baby for the monkey, and then you have the Mass Sand 5-drop, which is really good against Veggies, really good against Skillets, really good against decks that go wide. So kind of splitting the difference there, sideboarding more copies for matchups you need them in. Scientist Fu as just, you know, one of the best overwhelms in the game, period. 1 energy, draw 2 double strike, amazing finisher. Complement that with Further Instruction Champa. Having the Temporal Doctor's Demigrot being a 30k beater is huge, and then dropping a Champa on it for game as well as whatever else is in your hand is super solid. So like I said, guys, this is more like a proof of concept. It's a really cool deck idea that I came up with. I think it's really solid as long as you hit your curve, and that's really easy to do because we do have a turn 1 consistency card. But like I said, playing the Demigrot leader might become worth it to slow the game down, because I think in this type of deck we do want to slow it down just a little bit. So tinker back and forth. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys test this deck. Let me know how it goes for you guys. Let me know what leader you guys think is better, Demigra or Mira, or any other leader you guys might think of. I think Mira and Demigra are the best 2 leaders for this deck, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.